So ask your question.
So going from IBOLC to Ranger School, what was the biggest hang-up, whether it be for you personally or tactics that you were taught that didn't necessarily transfer over?
Most of the tactics will transfer over. It's all going to be basic stuff: raids, ambushes, movement to contact. It's not going to be anything crazy new per se. Just make sure you're paying attention to how they teach it, because that's what they're going to want to see. You can try and justify, and some might be like, it's cool that you did your own thing as long as it works, but like the easiest way to do it is just take what they teach you, because everyone else in your platoon is going to have had that same class and be on the same page. And you're not really going to have had the time for SOP development, even though they say they gave it to you. So like, take what you've learned in IBOLC. It's good. Remember that, and just apply that to the specific tactics that they teach you for how to do each specific mission, and how they teach you to go through TLPs. You've been trained more than enough on like op orders and all that stuff. But one thing that lieutenants probably go in misunderstanding is that they think they can probably just get by being good at orders, and they'll, get their go planning an op ord, and they'll do well on peers because they help people with op ords. But the op ord is really only a small part of it. And for a lot of people, the op ord doesn't even matter, because the leadership is going to switch over halfway through the day anyways. So the people that actually do the mission in the afternoon, they don't care at all about the op ord.
Yeah,
so like, if you go in thinking like, I'm going to be good at op ords and I'll get a go, not necessarily true, because the op ords are really hard, especially in Derby, where they're very specific. And they're also only one task, and you get graded on 4 to 7 tasks, and you have to pass a certain number of them to get your go. So if you plan on going in thinking you'll be good at just op ords, you might struggle on peers, and you might struggle getting a go, because there's a lot more that goes into it. You can't just rely on one thing to do well in peers. If you fall asleep all the time, or like can't bound from cover to cover, like everyone's gonna see that. So don't go in focused too much on op ords. Use the time you have in IBOLC to try to learn more about being like a team leader and a squad leader. Squad leader goes are definitely more common and easier than the platoon leader, platoon sergeant ones.
Of course, yeah.
So like, if you can be good at being a squad leader, that's going to make your life easier. It'll help you on peers, because you're supporting somebody else who's also in leadership and needs the help. And if you also like never learn how to be a team leader, it means other people are gonna have to pick up that slack for you. So like, you want to rotate through being team leaders, so that not everyone's working super hard all the time. What ends up happening is you're always relying on the same 1 or 2 people to be the team leaders, and they just get overworked. If you can be a decent team leader and like help your squad leader out, that's really gonna make all the difference for them, like getting goes and not. So take the opportunity in IBOLC to try to learn how to be a better team leader and squad leader, because you'll be much better off in Ranger School doing that than like hoping you get some easy PL look, or thinking that the op orders are going to be like the main thing. So,
do you have any specific examples that you can share with other LTs that focused specifically on the op ords and fell short other places?
Yeah. So there's one in my squad for Derby, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but like in Derby, he was awesome. He always helped on the op orders, which was fine. He'd been a recycle, so he already knew kind of how things worked. And in Derby, it's all like step by step according to the checklist. Pretty easy to follow. That worked really well for him. When we got to mountains in Florida, and they expected you to like think outside the box a little more, and when things got a little bit more physical, a little bit more tired, he started to struggle a lot more with like, he was falling asleep all the time. He couldn't carry the weight that everyone else could carry. He was kind of like slow. He wasn't able to like move as quickly as everyone else. Yeah, he didn't have that violence of action that like you kind of needed. Like if you're getting blown out of the patrol base and you got to pack your stuff up and run, like we're all waiting there for him. Like, hurry up, dude. Like, we were literally all waiting for you. So he was really good at op boards. Whenever he helped prepare the op boards, like that part was super squared away. But he kind of sucked at a lot of the other stuff, and he got peered really low. He didn't get peered out, but like he thought too much, like he was too focused on the op board, and on like thinking through the steps of doing stuff, that he struggled when he was both in leadership as well, because he focused too much on the op board and not on like the other parts going on around him, like the patrol base. and resupply and stuff like that. And like he could only really contribute to the op board, and he kind of took away from the squad and the platoon and all the other stuff.
So what were some of the things you did to avoid that same pitfall?
I honestly like almost never helped on op boards.
Really?
You know,
Did you have a lot of other LTs in your platoon?
It's recently, and I think it's going to stay this way for a little while, it's been super officer heavy, especially coming out of IBOLC. I mean, in every squad of mine for all 3 phases, at least half of the squad was IBOLC lieutenants. There's going to be plenty of people who want to provide input on the op board and think that they can contribute to the op board.
Too many chiefs.
Exactly. That's literally the exact words that they said in Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this platoon is going to fail because there are so many lieutenants here who think they know the answer to everything and want to help on this op board that you guys are going to fail. And we had like 7 goes out of the first FTX for Mountains, which is like a horrible rate, and they told us that. So I would always like volunteer to be a team leader in the patrol base. Like it's pretty easy. Help the squad leader out, help with ammo resupply and distribution, help with water resupply and all that stuff. But if
keeps you up and it keeps you moving as well.
If you can help in some way other than the op board, like there weren't enough people doing that. We always struggled to like distro all the ammo before we stepped off, or to get everyone's water resupplied before we stepped off. The patrol bases almost always just look like shit.
That's what I've heard.
So like that's cool that the op board maybe sounded really good because a bunch of lieutenants like used their cool IBOLC buzzwords that they learned, but the RIs don't give a shit because the patrol base was awful and there was piles of ammo sitting in the middle and people didn't have water, stuff like that. So like you'll have to play it by ear based on what's happening, but I saw that there were so many people helping on the op boards that it was like impossible to like get in there. Like maybe you would work for a little bit on this and they would be like, no this. Like it got so annoying with so many people trying to do the op board and make it coherent that I just said, I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to go like be a team leader. I'm going to go pull security. Like you can be really useful as an officer if you're not just focused on op boards.
I'm glad you touched on the team leader thing because a couple of friends of mine who've already been through the school and who I hold in pretty high regard, like that's where they describe those are the guys who are driving the fight or like driving the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to be able to control shit a lot better. And they also recommended to try to find those team leader roles to fill them. So was that something you looked out for?
Yeah, I thought being team leader was fun. I thought I did a decent job at it. You have to be willing to do a little bit more work probably than the other people, which is fine. If you want that to help keep you awake, that's also another good thing to do. Don't overwork yourself, but like if you can help other people get goes and like get the hell out of there, that's what peers comes down to.
Yeah. Is
like, do you like actually help us all get our goes and move on to the next, or do you like detract from that? So I was a squad leader in IBOLC almost the entire like 19 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was really fun, and like it's not graded in IBOLC, but it was super useful experience, and I think it helped me a lot when it came to like being a squad leader in Ranger School.